We are working on a lot of custom builds in the shop right now, which is creating a need for a lot of custom parts. Our infinite wisdom was working on solutions to these problems when it was suggested to us that maybe we should try a 3D printer. That was a bit intimidating, but we did end up buying a Bambu X1C printer. We paid for it ourselves. We're not sponsored by Bambu at all. And somewhat miraculously, because we don't know what we're doing and we don't tend to read directions, we are actually making parts that are solving some of our problems. So in this video, we're going to cover the software that we use to design our parts. We're also going to show you some of the parts that we've made that are working out really well for us, and we'll show you a couple of our failures. We're not batting 100% over here. We're also just going to quickly cover Bambu's printer itself so you can have an idea of what you get with it, including their brand new H2D printer that literally just came out. We'll also cover a tiny bit on filament. Sounds really boring. Filaments are actually really important. Most of the failures that we had printing was due to using the wrong filament.
A 3D printer is a device that uses different types of plastics and materials called filaments to print a 3D object. Filaments have become pretty advanced over the last several years. There are translucent ones, there's flexible ones that act almost like rubber. There's even carbon fiber reinforced filament that can handle a lot of heat and is super strong.
Okay, so one of the first things that we did when we got the 3D printer going was just trying to solve like very, very basic things. So with the 80 series, it was kind of a mess inside. So I got a new console for it. And we put this in, and it's been rad, but it has, it has spots for gauges in the future, and then it has all kinds of these. These are kind of the bane of every Toyota person's existence that doesn't buy the top of the line Toyota. You always have these like dash spots that are empty, where it's like if you were cool, yours would have came with buttons, but you're not cool, so you didn't get buttons. So what we did is I wanted to at least make like a filler piece to go in there, just like a blank. So we made these little blanks that will clip in. Well, we started by just making the blank, and then we decided, well, why not also make one that's a switch panel? So then we incorporated a switch on it like this, and then this switch has an LED around it, so then it's like lit up, and we're kind of having fun with it. And then if you guys know anything about 80 series Toyotas, these are not the fastest vehicles, so I thought it would be fun. So this is one I'm working on right now, actually. Has a little turbo on it. This definitely does not have a turbo. And just to kind of embrace, if you own one of these, you just kind of have to accept how slow they are. So I made this one because I know that people will get in and they'll look at that switch and be like, whoa, what does that switch do? And I'm actually just attaching it, wiring it to a speaker and a tiny little amplifier that we're also making a case for with the 3D printer that goes underneath the passenger seat. And when you flick the switch, it's gonna play this soundtrack. Yeah, so basically, almost everybody starts out 3D printing just like knickknacks and random things that aren't necessarily necessary. But as we got better with figuring out how to use the designs and everything, we did in fact start printing things that were a lot more useful. Okay, so next I'm gonna take you over here to Zeph's XJ build, and we're gonna check out what he's been building with the 3D printer for this. I know you're doing wiring right now, so I think it's coming handy on that quite a bit. What do you got for us?
Well, for example, this fuse box comes and your wires have to come down here. And when you're flush mounting it to something,
It's
no space for your wires at all.
this is really dumb design.
So you'd have to mount it like this or something, right?
Yeah.
So I made this little cavity here, this little box. And you put this on the bottom, it spaces it out, and then your wires can go up and through.
Nice. And it's not going to be any place hot, so that's normal. Filament-wise, that's normal PLA.
Just peel it. Yep.
All right.
No stress, nothing.
It's like the easiest filament to print with without any bugs.
Yep. So then I also need to run this hard line. And
Okay, this is cool.
So I made these, I have to run two hard lines right next to each other. So I made two little holes for sheet metal screws. And then these are zip tie holes. So this will clip on, and then you can mount it. And throw zip tie through. We'll show you.
And then, so it has a channel on this side right here.
Yep.
The zip tie goes through the whole back and all the way around.
Correct. So
that's
in
sweet.
Here, you can kind of see a little bit of what we're talking about. So it's zip tied, and then you can secure it to the wall like that.
And you're about to redo this line because this kinked, huh? But I like the zip tie improvement. All my stuff on my car like that is just zip tied to the frame.
Yep, that's what usually happens, right?
It's not the best way to do it. I like this a lot better.
So using the same concept, I need to run my battery cables all the way to the engine. So it's a pretty long run of wire that's always powered. So I made these, and these will hold my 2-aught positive battery cable.
Yep, same thing.
And like this isn't going to rub through, or it can't conduct any electricity. So it's kind of a perfect solution for this case.
Nice. So you've got ones for like brake lines, you've got ones for power cables, and then you've got these big boys back here. What are these?
So I've been playing around with mounting the radiator back here, and most of the things back here are tube. So I have come up with
radiator's going there, by the way.
I've come up with this design that's actually pretty similar to that concept. And so you'll have your tube, and this will snap on there.
Nice.
And it has a groove, but this is for a hose clamp.
And that just goes well inside of the plastic, way back in here and around. So it's super strong.
Correct. And, you know, once that's on there, you could mount all kinds of stuff like this, you know,
that's
fire
rad.
extinguishers, all kinds of things. It's a pretty cool solution, I think.
Well, and you were a machinist before this, so you worked with machining aluminum and steel parts. Yeah. You can't really machine a radius, like a round channel like that out of metal very easily.
Yeah, not really like this. No. So this is pretty cool.
All right, rad. Oh, wait, and then you did one for your, this guy. Tell us about this one, because this is one of the ones where you had to worry about heat, and you had to print it from a different, well, actually, this is ASA. He printed this from these guys from a material that can handle a lot of heat as well.
So this one, we're not totally sure if it's going to work yet, if it'll be rated high enough temp, but this is just a little speedometer plug for my MP205 T-case, because it has an old mechanical style speedo that I will not be using.
So we wanted to plug that, but that's down there where it's going to get in the muck and mud and everything. Mm-hmm. So you printed the original, this is the blank you printed just a test fit. Mm-hmm. And then the final you added an O-ring design to, right?
Yeah, so I put basically just a half circle groove all the way around here, and an O-ring fits right in there and seals it up.
With their new printer that has the dual head that we don't have, you could actually just print that straight on there, because you could print this and then you could print TPU around the edge, and then you would have your O-ring straight out of the printer.
Pretty cool.
So it would be able to print like a rubbery material ring and then the hard material, because the new printer has two heads and can print with those two different materials. All right, so one other one that we're working on, and this is actually for the Ford. The Ford has loose clutch linkage that's making the shifting pretty bad. We needed to print, we were trying to print a new bushing for it, and you would think that's dumb because we could get an aftermarket one for next to nothing. But the problem is the way that it wore out, it actually hollowed out the metal. So now the factory one is too small, and it still wiggles around and is loose. So we're trying to see if we can print one that is oversized that will solve the problem. So far, it's like his other plug. We've printed like test prints and too soft of materials. So definitely you've been able to print one that's been able to fit.
Yeah, it fit nice.
Yeah, now we have to play around with what material to print it in that will actually be able to be strong enough. Because sometimes like some material like can handle heat really well, but then it isn't quite as strong. Some is super, super strong, but only with pressure from certain angles.
Well, or gets brittle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we've got our work cut out for us. We're still learning filaments. We're still experimenting and testing lots of different ones. We did test two. You confirmed the one, like normal PLA is way too soft.
PLA don't work, and then ASA is too brittle.
Yeah, it just snaps, right?
The ASA just blew up.
Yeah. So we're gonna have to play around with that and figure it out. We've got the carbon fiber stuff that we're gonna try. And these laser beams that are coming down from the roof, I apologize about this. This camera got cracked on the lens, and it's like a $500 camera. We're getting a new one shortly, so this will go away. This is part of being a YouTuber, is constantly spending money on things that you don't want to be spending money on. Okay, so one other use case for the 3D printer. We're constantly using brackets of all kinds, like all this stuff up here, even just little stuff like this, where you gotta bend metal a certain way. And we find that sometimes we have a bender, we have a swag bender on a 50-ton press, and that works for a lot of different use cases. But if we want to bend something like to have a radius or just weird bends that don't work very well in the big bender, what we're toying around with, and we actually have been testing it out and it's actually been working. So what we're doing is we've been printing things like this. So this is a piece where we are able to put a flat piece of metal, a flat piece of metal in. You're able to put this on top, put it in the press, and bend it to a particular shape. And we've been playing around with different shapes and how many different bends can we get in a piece before it doesn't work and before the plastic can't hold up to the press. The interesting thing with this is when you do a 3D print, inside of this is a certain amount of air, and it has this like honeycomb design. When you're making these type of blocks for pressing in a 50-ton press, we've been making them about 75% infill, which means 75% of it is full of plastic and the rest of it is air. Normal prints, a lot of times, are only like 15%. So what we found is it does hold up at 75, 80% infill. We've been able to get it to work and actually start pressing out different types of brackets. So like rooftop tent mounting bracket, because somebody lost one. We can just make a little die, essentially, press it, hand it off to them, and it works great. I'm kind of excited about that. There's a lot of little brackets we've been using a lot of lately. These are brackets that we have to buy right now. And they get cut out on like a laser or plasma table, and then they just have these small little bends on them. This is not thick metal. And these are used to weld on to the side of metal to give you a tab to mount things to. So we can use it for like door panels and different things like that to fix interiors of some of these old cars that are all messed up. One of the reasons I'm excited about this is behind me, if you can tell, that is a plasma table that we have to put together. That's probably gonna take several days. We'll be able to cut out our own blanks for a lot of this stuff. Then we'll be able to print mold, I guess you would call it. And like in the case of those are so thin and the plastic is so strong, we should be able to print a mold that can press 10 of them at a time. So it'll be nice to just be able to cut out our own brackets, press them, and I'm excited to see how convoluted and crazy of brackets we can make. We may have to use that carbon fiber filament to be strong enough to hold up, but we were surprised. So far, that 80% infill worked just fine. I'll show you an example of one that is like only like 20% infill, and it just completely destroyed itself.
For software, we're using Fusion. Now, one reason that you would learn Fusion is it would also be the same type of software that you could learn to use like a plasma table. In our case, it's what Zeph had experience, and then he was able to teach me how to mock up these buttons and different things like that in the software. There are lots of alternatives to Fusion, though. There are a lot of people that are using Blender. There's a program called FreeCAD. There's some that I don't know very much about, one called SolveSpace and Solid Edge that a lot of people are using as well. And then Onshape and SketchUp are also applications that people are using to design 3D print files. Just so you guys know, tons of files that people design get put up on the internet to where you can just download the file and take it straight to your printer and print it. There's whole libraries of free files, and then there's also entire libraries of files that you can buy. But those are usually very affordable, just a couple bucks per file. So there is a lot of resources out there to get you started on printing.
Okay, let's talk printers really quick. So we have the X1 Carbon. Basically, Bambu just came out with a brand new printer that's called the H2D. If you're thinking about buying a printer that's this nice, I would probably wait for that one. It literally starts shipping next month. I think it was like April 8th or something like that. Again, I'm not sponsored by these guys. They don't know who I am. I don't get commission on making sales. In fact, I'm gonna put a link below to this printer, and I'm gonna use the link, the commission link, for a different channel that's called Superfast Matt. Because I watched his video on 3D printers, and it was the one that kind of inspired me to actually go and get brave to actually get a 3D printer and see if we could actually use it. Because this is a little intimidating. The software that you have to learn to be able to use it and everything, I just thought, I don't want to print little toy boats and like octopuses and stuff like that. They have all kinds of little designs that are already in the computer that you can print that are like toys for your kids and stuff like that. But we were trying to get this as an actual solution to problems that we were having on actual car and truck builds. Probably hold off on the X1 Carbon and wait the next week or two when that H2D starts shipping. The main difference, just so you guys know, there's two things, there's a ton of differences on it. Bambu would be super mad at me if I said there's only two differences. But for me personally, there's a couple things that are a lot better. This is called an AMS. So I can have multiple filaments in here. So this one holds 4, this one holds 4. So I have 8 different filaments I can print with on a job right now. And this keeps them dry. When they get moist, they don't print very well. So it's a pretty sweet thing to be able to manage your filament. Well, on the new printer, these things actually will be heated and do a lot more active work to keep your filament dried out so you don't have as many printing issues. These printers are really good. We don't run into printing issues almost ever. That's kind of what made Bambu famous. They were the first people to make a printer that was pretty dummy proof. You just kind of plugged it in, turned it on. You were able to do your first print just from the screen, and it just kind of works. The new printer is also bigger. So you can see this opens up. This is your printing area in here. So you can only print parts that are actually able to fit in there. Some parts we've printed are so big that like a piece will screw into another piece. But if you're trying to print a big solid piece, the fact that you get a bigger cabin in the other one is kind of a big deal. So you get a bigger cabin. The other thing is this one has a single print head in it. And it can change filaments. So it'll print with this filament, and then it will have to ooze out all the goop and change over to another one. And those types of prints take a long time because it keeps having to switch from one to the other, and then it has to purge everything that's in the print head. So with the new one, when it has 2 print heads, it can be feeding 2 of these, and it can just switch interchangeably. So it can print prints that have multiple types of plastics or filaments way faster. And like I said, there's a type of filament, we have our filaments up here. There's a type of filament called TPU, and TPU is very rubbery. So when you're able to start working like a rubber layer into a hard plastic layer, you can start to make like button panels and all kinds of cool stuff. It even has the ability to come with other heads that you can put in it for a laser, for doing like laser engraving and laser cutting. I think you can get a 10-watt laser or a 40-watt laser. And it even has a cutting head that is like a razor knife. And that, you go, okay, that for arts and crafts and I don't know, making greeting cards. A lot of people are very excited about that, but you can use it for also other things like, of course, like making stickers. But where I actually saw a cool use case is you could use it for making gaskets. You can get gasket material, you can lay out your gasket, and you can actually cut a perfect gasket in here. If you're ever looking at a Bambu printer and you just needed somebody to nudge you in the direction and say, even to my own surprise, that they are actually great tools to have in a shop, and you can build some cool stuff with them. I don't know, maybe this is that video. Software stuff is the hardest part, but you can watch other people's YouTubes. That's how we learn how to do it. You watch other people's YouTube videos and you learn Fusion or you learn these softwares and you go from there. So anyhow, great product. Super excited about the problems it's solving in the shop. Hope this was helpful. See you guys in the next one.